So tell me what made you guys decide to do an agave spirit with all of the other spirits that you produce here at Western Reserve Distillers?
It rounds out our portfolio. It was like the only thing missing. I love tequila, and I thought since we were distilling spirits, one more thing that I really, really enjoy should be in our portfolio.
Very good.
And the tequila bill was getting pretty expensive.
Why not make your own? Yeah, really. If you got access to it, cut that cost. What else do you produce here at Western Reserve Distillers, and how long have you been producing and selling?
We've actually been up and running now for about 3 years. We do vodka, gin, rum, bourbons, whiskeys, and now basically we just added agave. About 12 months ago we started tinkering with the agave, basically, using this raw material, and then we just transitioned and launched the product basically just before the holidays. So.
And you said you tested a lot of different tequilas as a reference point.
Yeah.
What's the tequila that you wanted to emulate the most? And do you think you've achieved that, or do you think you may have gone beyond that?
I think Roca Patron was really our reference, was our reference point for trying to achieve this. And I think, I don't know if we've gone beyond it, but I think we're definitely kind of on parity with Roca Patron. So which, we're a $35 bottle. I think it's, in Ohio, I think Roca Patron somewhere around an $85 bottle. So we figured it was good. It was good value. We do like regular Patron too. We also like a number of the other tequilas, but I think Roca for us was one that we tasted and just said, okay, that product really is something special. So, and it was a bit of a challenge to find, agave that had the age that gave us the sweetness that was there, and then also had the agave flavor, but basically had the harsh notes of the tequila tamed a little bit through the distillation process, which is what kind of probably took the last 4 or 5 months, was just getting the settings on the still right, and really being able to kind of keep the flavor but to smooth out the base spirit. So.
And when you do a tasting, you do a blind comparison with other tequilas for the people that taste it here at the distillery. What are some of the tequilas you put yours up against?
Yeah, so we do, I call it George Juice. So it's we do Casamigos first, typically the lead in. Then we normally will go Don Julio, and then we'll go to Patron, and then basically regular Patron Silver, and then we'll finish off with our Silver. And then we also do a Reposado flight at the same time too. So we'll basically do the same thing. We'll do a Reposado starting with basically the Casamigos, then we go to Don Julio, we do it a Patron, and then we go to our Reposado. And once we have an Añejo, we'll do the same thing with the Añejo flight. So we do have actually product that's aging for an Añejo too. So.
And you beat me to my next question. You guys have a Blanco and a Reposado?
Yeah.
And when do you expect the Añejo to be out?
It'll be out basically this year, just before Christmas. The first couple barrels should be available. So I think our plan is to launch that for Christmas 2021. So hopefully it'll be a little bit different than last Christmas 2021.
I hope so too. And you have access to your own bourbon barrels to rest that Añejo.
We do, and actually it's a good point. Our Reposado, we did the same thing. We kind of compared the Roca Patron. Our bourbon barrels are a little bit different than what the tequila guys are going to have because they're still wet, right? So we literally will kind of time the production of agave with when we're dumping the bourbon barrels, and we use exclusively, so we have a Family Reserve product, which is a 14-year bourbon, actually beat Pappy Van Winkle 15 at the World Spirits Competition in 2019. Those barrels are the only barrels, the 14 and 15-year barrels are the only ones that we use to age our tequilas. So we actually sell all the younger barrels off, the agave spirit. So we only use the older barrels to age the agave spirit. The younger barrels we sell off to the Amish to make furniture and stuff like that with. So.
How long does the Reposado rest?
Right now we're about 5 to 6 months for the Reposado. Añejo, we're probably going to start. We'll taste it at the first is going to be the 12-month time frame, and then the extra Añejo obviously will be somewhere in that 3 to 4 years, similar to how we're aging our bourbon here too. So.
Excellent. And you distribute beyond Ohio. Obviously, you're located in Lakewood, Ohio, but you distribute to 11 states, correct?
Yeah, we're in 11 states currently. So we're in California. Let's see if I can remember all of it. So we have California, we have Kentucky, we have Massachusetts, we have Illinois, Michigan, Colorado, Georgia, Washington, D.C., West Virginia, and Ohio, and Wisconsin. Yeah. So.
Okay. And are there plans for anything else down the line for you guys? I mean, you really do run out a lot of spirits here, but are you thinking about anything upcoming besides this foray into U.S. produced agave spirit?
You know, I think at this point in time, we've talked about producing an American single malt. That's going to be that would be an absolute long-term project. I mean, that stuff has to sit for 10 or 15 years before it really does kind of get to a point where I think it's going to be something we'd want to produce. I think at this stage, we've got plenty of whiskey to produce, plenty of agave. The agave, truthfully, is taking off much stronger than we had originally expected. So I think we'll probably be sticking with this. Right now we have about 21 products in our portfolio that'll be in the market by the end of the year. And then as we continue to do the agave spirits, we'll be adding. Now we have looked at doing like an agave liqueur, so something like producing an orange infused spirit to use for cocktail applications. But we're still guys in the conversation stage. It hasn't worked its way into the R&D stage yet.
And as fans of tequila and now producing your own agave spirit, have you noticed the boom, especially in Ohio, of people gravitating towards the agave spirits? And do you notice that when people come in, especially since they're tasting other tequilas against yours?
Absolutely. So we do very well in the taste competitions. Not afraid to go up against any of the big guys. Obviously, we chose one of the best we thought in the marketplace as the starting point. We are doing very well. We just went into initial state distribution here in Ohio. Ohio is a control state, so it does take a little bit longer to get product into distribution. We're in about 15 stores, and truthfully, out of the gates, the agave spirit is actually performing as well, if not a little bit better than the bourbon did when we first went into stores. So it is actually hitting the ground running. We haven't really started selling to bars and restaurants yet, although we've actually had a couple contact us just based on what we've been doing on social media. So I think once we do start to move into the on-premise platform with this product, I think we'll have very quickly it probably will overtake the bourbon in terms of the sales. So.
And you guys have a beautiful tasting room here. You also have a full bar and restaurant right through the wall behind you. Have you noticed that the cocktail preparations that you're producing here, are you trying something new because it's your own product and you have much more experience with the flavor profile? And have you noticed any difference between the agave spirit versus tequila in your cocktails?
Performance? Go ahead.
The performance, I guess you could speak more to that. What I was going to say with the flavor profile, what we have found is that, again, since we shot for the Moon and went up against Roca for our taste platform, the flavors of our agave play well with a lot of flavors that we add to it. So your cocktail isn't overwhelming with a heavy tequila flavor. So that has helped us in a lot of the cocktails. A lot of people that have said, I don't like tequila, I can't drink tequila, we'll never touch the stuff again. They have tried cocktails with ours and have told us they would never believe that they were drinking a cocktail made with tequila.
Yeah, and it's a good point. So I think some of the cheaper tequilas you have to hide the rough notes, you have to hide the flavor a little bit in cocktail form. What we found is, because quite frankly, I don't think too many people make cocktails with Roca Patron. So what we've really found is that it's extremely versatile, far more versatile than I think either one of us thought it would. So we've actually been doing some sours, so basically traditional gin cocktails with both the Blanco and the Reposado, egg white cocktails, and it really does. It's absolutely beautiful because you have enough flavor for the cocktail to be interesting, but the other fresh ingredients, the fresh juices and the fresh fruits. And I will say the one thing we have found in cocktail preparation particularly is that pairing up the agave cocktails with basically agave syrup versus a regular simple syrup does make a huge difference in the finished cocktail. It does kind of help accentuate the cocktail itself. But we've done classic margarita preparations, all that kind of stuff. We're doing actually some Mexican martinis and a couple of other riffs on the martini with our product that are absolutely delicious. And I'm actually blown away because I think most people really just think of margaritas and they think of tequila. It's an extremely versatile spirit as you start playing with it in more classic cocktail preparations. I think there's going to be more to come, but we probably have about 10 or 15 iterations of classic cocktails as well as agave cocktails on our classic menu now, and we're continuing to kind of build that out. So.
And you guys have a pretty extensive collection of competitor product here on the wall behind you. Do you notice that when you have people tasting it against what might be their favorite bourbon, tequila, any of the things in your portfolio, that they kind of realize where yours stands apart and might be able to appreciate it as much as they do what they're pouring at home? Is that helpful to you?
Absolutely. I think when we started this project from the beginning, our objective was to produce world-class spirits right here in Northeast Ohio, using as much local ingredients as we can find. So we put our bourbons up against anything from Buffalo Trace. We'll put our vodkas and gins up against anything from Grey Goose, Tito's, all of that kind of stuff. And we would typically win in taste competitions. Our 8-year bourbon, our favorite thing to do is to actually pour that up against blends, just to kind of give people a perspective of blends versus our 8-year. And I'd say about 75 or 80% of the time we'll win actually that head-to-head competition. So there's nothing that we're intimidated by. I mean, it's a lot of love, a lot of time and attention go into the cocktail preparations. It goes also into the spirit, both the spirit development as well as the production, and then it's just giving that barrel enough time to age to condition the spirit. So.
And this is definitely a family enterprise. How many family members are involved at the distillery or in the operation entirely?
Us and our son.
Yes.
There's just 3 of us. And we do, our son takes on a lot of the production work. He, assistant distiller, takes on a lot of the production scheduling, bottling, that type of stuff. Kevin, master distiller, CEO, co-founder, the 2 of us wear most of the hats, trying to juggle everything.
The marketing side.
And then we have, other employees that obviously pick up the other things that we can't do all of it, so they help us out.
What do you foresee for U.S. agave spirits? Obviously, tequila, mezcal, other agave spirits are taking off. Do you think now is the prime time for other U.S. distillers to start getting into that market? And do you think not being produced in Mexico is going to be an obstacle?
Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Consumers are definitely conditioned that the best tequilas come from Mexico. The same as consumers are conditioned the best bourbon comes from Kentucky. I think we're at the very beginning of a larger movement, which is a return to craft distilling in North America. And I think as we same as the bourbon is starting to great products will ultimately change minds. Taste does make a difference, and brands take time to build. I think the same thing, as long as people are applying those same craft skills, getting the best raw materials. And I will say the best raw material for our project, everything comes out of Jalisco, Mexico. So, and it is extremely expensive. I mean, the agave concentrate we're using is 4 to 5 times more expensive than traditional grain would be to produce a distilled spirit. So as long as you're investing in the right raw materials and following kind of the basic fermentation sciences and also following the distillation practices and producing a great spirit, I think a U.S. produced agave spirit has a long road ahead of it. But I think consumers definitely have been they've been conditioned to a premium product, and there's a lot of fantastic tequilas on the marketplace. So I think as long as you can back it up with quality and back it up with good bottle design, I do believe that there's definitely room in the market for an American product. Again, as long as the quality is there.